Mayor Mayeski.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Mia.
Present.
Councilman Almasmari.
Present.
Councilman Parada. Councilman Musa. Councilman Karpinski. Councilman Amar Sumi. Present. That is a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Major. Mr. Lucas.
Present.
Mr. Hudson. Mr. Obey. Mr. Chowdhury. Ms. Ash. Here. Myself present. We have a quorum. Okay, and then maybe stand for the pledge
of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Leonard Mercy. I've been asked to help coordinate this meeting. Once again, it's my honor between the city and the school board. Speak up, okay? So it's my distinct honor to be here to facilitate this meeting. And one of the protocol items is just to go to number 5 for a second. There is always a public comment section offered. If an individual wants to speak, there has been 2 minutes set aside per speaker. All you have to do is fill out a card and turn it in to be recognized to speak to either or both parties. I think you have the cards. No?
I didn't think it'd be that formal.
Oh, okay. Well, just raise your hand. Well, I wanted to offer some comments because I, again, had the wonderful opportunity being invited by Mrs. Eniger and Mr. Nichai to sit months ago and talk about the impact of what the loss from General Motors potentially could be, let alone the city jail, juvie center, what that might be. And just the whole scope of that was obviously, for any community, daunting. I shared my experiences when I was superintendent in Northville when we faced losses, and then how did we handle that, and how did we handle that collectively. So having had the experience to a degree with that system and process, I shared what I knew, but actually, very frankly, Mrs. Eniger and Mr. Nichai jumped into it very, very aggressively and forthrightly. I want to offer this comment because I think it's very true. From the onset of the meetings, the spirit of hope is what permeated the meetings, in my opinion. It was bringing together, here we are as a community. We are a community of Hamtramck. We are also a city. We are also a school board. And yet one of our major entities is facing potentially, or realistically, a dramatic shift in funding support. And what does that do to affect the operation of the whole community? And from that, both sides, I can honestly say, went through hours of pouring through numbers, concepts, ideas, what could work, what might be a possibility of a conflict of interest. You can't use those state funds or funds this way or that way. Might this be a violation of a conflict in unions, language, etc. All of that was taken into account, but never at one moment was there a decision or an issue to alleviate end discussions. In fact, it was a realistic, cooperative effort, in my opinion. And at one point in time, I want to say there were in excess of 24 items that were on the table being discussed. And it was point by point by point, how could the two major entities making up the city of Hamtramck, the community of Hamtramck, resolve this issue in the short run and in the long run. And so I want to commend both the city and the school board for having that type of leadership that would lead to these decisions, of which this evening I believe we're going to be dealing with at least one, maybe others, but certainly one for sure. But the other areas there, again, I can honestly say were a commitment towards solving a problem that was in the face of Hamtramck's immediate and long-term future, and no one backed away. And it would have been very easy to back away, very frankly, and neither did. So I commend both Mr. Nietzsche and Mrs. Denninger for those efforts, and extend that point of view from someone who is not a member of the school board nor a member of the city council, but to offer that outside person's opinion with a great deal of pleasure in saying they did very well through some very difficult discussion points that the overall community is facing. So with that, we're at the point where we do have the raising of hands for the 2-minute recognition, if there's anyone who would like to do so.
Part of the selling of Hamtramck came from the Michigan Municipal League. And I know the school board and of course the city council received this magazine also. And it's no small thing to become the cover of this. Our mayor, our board president, a football player, a girls soccer player are there. It's in the centerfold. It's we're revitalizing Hamtramck. And hopefully this gets out in the community and is very well said. We have the partnerships that really do work here. Ralph Wilson is supported here. There's members of the school board, if you recall, and city council, Mr. Almaspari, Mr. Chowdhury, who attended our press release, our kickoff, and it's a very exciting time for Hamtramck. So with that being said, there was a bid put out by the Michigan Municipal League in conjunction with help from the City of Hamtramck and Hamtramck Public Schools to create a master plan. There were how many groups that applied? 7. Out of the 7, we did a thorough vetting. We went through meetings, rubrics, talking about it, even had presentations made to us in Tech Town, and we selected, or the committee selected 10 by 10. 10 by 10 is going to be producing this master plan, and they're an outstanding group. On Monday, there was a kickoff meeting for them. They all, and in addition to that, the Michigan Municipal League representative, they came to the school administration building. We toured the area. When we went, we saw Keyworth, we walked around Keyworth to understand what's going on, Playfair. We took the bus, we went around to the stadium, Veterans Park, and these are our top-notch professionals. I did not attend the meeting at the Tech Town afterwards. Kathy did, and Kathy will tell you about it. But at your table, you'll have an agenda for that meeting. And
please take the time to read it. This is something really exciting, something that's really good. Mrs. Ahmed is right on board with this. We make Hamtramck whatever we want it to be and sell it throughout the state of Michigan. People are going to come here. So with that being said, Kathy will tell you a little bit about the meeting from 2:30 to 4:30 at Tech.
So us, when we get this plan, to help us to sell and market the plan, Quinn Evans Architects and then Global Detroit, who's going to be helping us with the community stakeholders and going around doing community engagement. So the exciting part of this is that it's not going to be a plan that we're going to do in a room. We're not going to sit inside of a room and tell the community what they want. We're going to go out in the community and talk to the community and ask the community what they want in the green space. So you know, when we wrote the grant, we knew that one thing that was needed was having the turf at Keyworth. We knew that was something everyone could agree on. So that was the capital project. But the next step is deciding how do we format the green space at Playfair and at Veterans Park and all of that green space that's contiguous in our city. And so that's the next steps. The community engagement will be done by Global Detroit, who already has a footprint in this community, has already done work, has relationships built. And then the architectural firm will be laying out those steps afterwards. We expect this project will be completed and we'll have a plan by December. And then the next step in the new year of 2020 will be marketing the plan, putting proposals together so that we can seek funding to complete the plan. They are using the Smith Group plan that the city got through a grant for the brick and mortar of the stadium. That will be a basis of it for a lot of the work, that the research on the stadium, and we will move forward with that. But that will be a large part of it. But the exciting thing was to hear the brainstorming, both on the bus as we were traveling around the city with these young professionals, and their ideas were just outstanding. Their questions were outstanding. They've already been eating in the restaurants, going around talking to people informally, and next will be the formal stages. You all will be a part of that, as well as your constituents in the city. So it's an exciting time for Hamtramck. This is going to be a very exciting 6 months that takes us to the Hamtramck Recreation Plan.
Kathy, can I just follow up a little bit? I do want the City Council and the Board of Education to realize or understand why 10 by 10 was selected, and the bottom line is they provided funding, or they willing to find funders for it and go out and secure some money, which is extremely important. So this event that happened on Monday the 10th, there was a follow-up on Tuesday the 11th that I sat in with the people with the money and Mrs. Ahmed, and we spent a good hour going back and forth with what's entailed, picking our brain, and just so everyone's aware of it and never going to hide anything. They're looking about not only to get more money, is to have a authority, a stadium authority that will include Pulaski Park, Sussman Park, all the green space in Hamtramck. That's what will get more money. That's what the experts are telling us. Of course, it's your decision, but these are what the fundraisers have talked to us. They were quizzing me, they were quizzing Mrs. Ahmed. We gave them provided recreation department employees, what we're using it for, how much we rent our properties for. I'm sure that, they're the same thing from the city. But these are serious professionals who are going to go out there, and if, people would have said, months ago, hey, cover the magazine, well, first it's going to be Hamtramck, then we're going to have Governor Whitmer. I mean, come on, that's quite an accomplishment by the Michigan municipality. They're serious. The fundraisers are very, very serious about this, and just want both sides to know it's more than just that. So,
and
but that
he's
means
100% right. And that was the one thing that whenever we were meeting with any of the groups, we talked to them about, what would they do? How would we? Because we didn't want something that was going to sit on the shelf. And we were done with it. Quite often we have studies done and it sits on the shelf. We said we need to be able to do something. We don't want to go to the community and say, oh, we want to build a soccer field or a cricket field, or we're going to do a baseball field. And then what? No, we wanted to be able to do what we said we were talking about. And so that, you're 100% right, I'm glad you brought that up. I met with them on Tuesday as well. I know they were meeting with the DNR to talk about funding that's available there. They were meeting with the MEDC, they were meeting with all kinds of groups in the 2 days to follow, including yesterday. And so then they were going to go back to the drawing board, figure out what they had, and come back for another hit. So I'm excited that they hit the ground running this year. And we should.
And this is why they were selected versus Smith Group, for example. So when all the presentations were made, and some were great, some were not so great, and there was an assumption that the Smith Group, I think, or the perception that Kathy and I had, oh, it's, you know, they were here before, they wouldn't do it. They did not have, they had a pretty plan, a nice placemat. I'm glad to show you, it has an aerial view of the property, and they had nice clothes and the whole shop, but they didn't have a plan to fund it. They did not have a mechanism to fund it, and 10 by 10 did, which is huge. Will all the funding come through? Well, I mean, we'll make the same, but that's part of what got the master plan. So with that being said, I turn it back over.
Are there any questions from either the school board or the city council? All right, hearing none, then we're at agenda item number 7, which is an action item. There is a joint resolution 2019-1. I believe you all have that. Copy of that.
Well, that's what I have a copy of. Is it the resolution approving the pilot project for community safety and improved walkability, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe we have it back there. I believe this is Brian Robinson.
Oh.
The rest of you
Yeah,
have?
so-
Do you need more of this?
Yeah.
You have more. Here, you grabbing them? Thank you.
There aren't any over here.
No,
They're
the
inside.
the school board ones.
You
They're
say
inside on page 4.
Oh, they are inside the packet. So
Yeah.
inside this packet, they all have the
Yes.
packets. They all have the packets.
No, the school board packet. Hamtramck Public Schools on the front.
Since we're separate
Page
bodies, we
4.
have,
Okay.
They're not good.
Nope.
No,
They're on
okay.
here. Give those back.
Would you like one of Mr. Lucas and I can share? Okay. That's what we're Thank you.
Everyone's okay to have a copy of the joint resolution 2019-1?
Question make a request, is it possible since this is, I'm assuming to be aired on home meeting?
Would you like one of Mr. Lucas and I can share? Okay.
Yeah, my email, but I haven't had another
I can
print. Now I have
share.
to print out in front of me, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everyone's okay has a copy of the
Yes.
joint resolution 2019-1?
If I can make a request, is it possible since this is, I'm assuming to be aired at home meeting, is it possible that one of you were to read it or no?
Sure, yeah. Oh, it's not that long.
No. I think the suggestion before the meeting was that someone would read it and
Okay.
read
Right.
it officially.
Understood.
All right, and I believe there are copies in other languages also available. I can read. Or maybe I misunderstood what was up there.
Yeah, no, yeah. There was not.
We will.
We only have it in English, but we will
Letting
get
it
it
sorted out.
We'll get it translated.
Right. I will go ahead and read the resolution, if you're ready. All right, this is resolution approving a pilot project for community safety and improved walkability. Whereas the city of Hamtramck is known for its walkability, and residents in our community walk for exercise, fun, and many walk to school, walk to work, walk to parks, or walk to shop on a daily basis. And whereas the city of Hamtramck and the Hamtramck Board of Education share a deep commitment to education and safe behavior for pedestrians and motorists, and creating a safer and more walkable community, not only for our children, but for all members of the community. And whereas having a safe and walkable community offers health benefits to our families, improves our environment and our personal finances, and promotes safety when large numbers of our community are present out of doors and results in an enhancement to our community as a whole. And whereas the strategic placement of 3D crosswalks and traffic safety bollards at key intersections in the city will add another level of visibility and protection for pedestrian traffic around our schools and public spaces. And whereas the City of Hamtramck and the Hamtramck Board of Education recognize the benefits of partnering on this pilot project, which will mutually benefit school and community, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hamtramck, Wayne County, Michigan, and the Hamtramck Board of Education, who will join together in implementing their first ever joint pilot project for community safety and improved walkability, and cost sharing not to exceed total project cost of $25,000. And I believe there was a photo I took it from mine just because I had not seen the 3D before and this came through, so.
So the intersections we're talking about for the 3D crosswalks, and, you know, I would like for Walter to come up to the podium if he would, and give a little overview of this. We're talking about the Gallagher corridor, so it'd be Casimir and Gallagher, Kniff and Gallagher, Eveline and Gallagher, Holbrook and Gallagher, and then the locations for the bollards would be near Pulaski Park, which would be Lumpkin and Norwalk, and Lumpkin and Edwin.
What's a bollard? Sorry.
Bollards are, they're sort of a thing like
Oh,
this.
yeah, okay.
It slows down. Stanchion. Some people call them stanchions.
They have them in areas, I've seen them
Of the
in
Jefferson.
Boyle, down Main Street, Ann Arbor.
Yeah, so we're gonna have them along our bike path when it comes, but this will be something for
I'm sorry,
pedestrian
you
traffic.
said Lumpkin and Norwalk, and then Lumpkin and
Edwin.
Edwin. Perfect. And then Gallagher, Casimir, Gallagher, Knapp, Gallagher, Eveline, and Gallagher, Holbrook.
Correct. And Mr. Nietzsche and I met on more than one occasion, along with our police chief who's here as well, if she would want to come up also, to talk about these intersections and how that increased safety would benefit our community.
I'd like to just say thank you for listening and to Kathy and to Tom for the meetings that we've had to discuss this and to implement it. I've been talking about this and writing about this for several years. The reason I think Gallagher is the critical first step and the best place to do a pilot is it's a corridor for its schools. There are 3 schools, high school, Dickinson East, and Talbeda are in that corridor. There are students that are going back and forth throughout the day, and motorists that are driving too fast down Gallagher every day. So we need to slow traffic down, and we need to increase the safety of children first, primarily, but everybody in the city who walks has to be made to feel safe as they walk through the city. So if we call ourselves a walkable community, we have to walk the walk the talk, is what we're doing here. So I thank you all for doing this. I don't know if there's anything else we need. I mean, this is kind of this 3D crosswalk started in India, of all places where traffic is horrendous. By all accounts, I've not been to India, but some city in India, I think it was Mumbai, and those New Delhi started implemented 3D crosswalks. Then somewhere in Iceland, and then Zlatan and his wife.
Mr. Mossig, how about, making sure everyone is aware of this? Would you mind pass around and talk a little bit about, when I first saw it, I don't know how, I thought it was raised, or, the whole thing was...
It creates the illusion, it's white,
I'm
it's
not
white.
sure, what is it? Putting rocks in the middle of the road?
Vertical stripes.
And so, please explain what's in that picture and how it works, so there can be an informed decision made by the city council and the school board, whether it's your decision.
If I'm driving a car and I'm heading for a crosswalk, the crosswalks are in vertical lines in front of me. And the way this works is that there are white, gray, and black lines painted on the pavement. It creates the illusion as drivers come toward it that the crosswalk is raised. So it gives more awareness to the driver that there is a crosswalk ahead. people that are likely to be walking across the street there. It snaps people into sort of, begin to think about, should I slow down? And most times, yes, you do slow down, because crosswalk should encourage motorists to slow down and pedestrians to feel safe walking. That's the idea. This is kind of, in my opinion, or at least in everything I've read and seen about it, I've not seen this implemented. I think this might be the first time in Michigan this is done. I don't know if there's any other city that's done it yet in Michigan.
I think you're right.
So it's an innovative approach to a problem that all cities have. I just came back. I just came back from Martha's Vineyard. I was there visiting friends. Martha's Vineyard has a horrible traffic problem. I never even thought about that before I went there, but there's traffic speeding all around. Martha's Vineyard, very wealthy, very affluent community in the United States. Everywhere we have problems with traffic. It's not just Hamtramck. It's not just, it's not Detroit. It's all across the world. For Hamtramck to do this, I think I feel proud of all of you to even consider this, to be listening to me, or to read what I'm writing, and also to read what other people are talking about when they talk about crosswalk innovation. So I don't know if everybody has seen. Okay. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah.
Councilman has it up on his screen.
Yes,
So.
there you go.
Yeah, let's see that. The digitized version is better than the one.
Would catch your attention drastically.
Yeah.
Show that to Greg on the camera.
So I think
Show it to Craig.
Okay. Closer.
How long did it take you to walk to Martha's Vineyard?
Right?
So I went by car. And I went to New York. It was a 9-hour drive from New York in the rain. Raining the whole trip away from New York City.
Would some people just stop when they see these?
Still get out and take pictures on it. You can do it next time.
Yeah.
That's better than speeding through it.
Sure.
This is not the only solution, but this is one piece of many things we will continue to talk about.
Out of curiosity, if I may just ask you a question. Based on studies done on these, obviously this contributes, like you said, sidewalk innovation or crosswalk innovation, but based on results, it's only generated positive results, nothing where people like,
I've not seen any negatives. I've not seen, and I don't know how many studies have been done. It's so new. I don't think many studies have been done. So when we talk about pilot, we're truly doing a pilot.
Yeah.
And so it could be adjusted. It is an adjustable.
The thing is, it's painted on, it can,
That's right.
so.
We're gonna get a lot of tires screeching.
Hey, if you say stop and slow down, that's the whole intent of it, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
The other part of it, the city has expertise and knowledge in terms of cutouts and making sure it's compliant, so we have the handicap version, and you see them all over the city, the little brown thing with the dots on it and the curb cutout. Kathy will make sure that, the city knows, what they're doing, that the cutouts are there, and, being vetted by, Tickets and Rides, discussions with Mr. Butler about it and so on. So there, a lot of thought has gone into this. It is a pilot, and I still think it's pilot high and something, so we'll see what it really.
It's a step over it.
I can imagine lots of photo ops, right?
Yeah, I see this all. I mean, the opening. It could be even developed as planned as an opening or ceremony if it's done. I don't know when it'll be done, but it could be. There could be a little opening party or something like that, and I think this will generate good press. And I do press myself. I understand how journalists think. I think if this is the first one in Michigan, people are going to jump on this.
We might end up on another topic. I guess my only follow-up question is it reflective for nighttime?
Yes. I mean,
To make sure it remains
Right.
visible during the evening and at night.
It looked like it was taken at.
Yeah, it was taken at
Okay.
On the material used, is that actually paid for the vinyl stuff that they use on the other crosswalks?
So we haven't bid this out yet, so it'll be bid out, the cost of it.
I don't know which way it comes, you know, does it go both ways?
Oh,
Whatever
so
we want.
we just had a discussion about the quality of paint and the way that
Yeah.
paint goes on. And it depends on which street, so when they come out and look at what we want painted, they'll tell us what the best material is for our streets.
And then visibility all
Absolutely.
24 hours a day.
Absolutely.
Is that the vinyl stuff comes off within a matter of
A lot
a
of
year or
times it's
two?
what it has to adhere to. Usually you get a 1-year guarantee. Is that right, Councilman?
And it's 1-year warranty.
1-year warranty.
Do you apply it?
No,
No,
but I was following up on the last time when we did
Oh, okay.
the start
When
meeting.
we apply, he's our watchdog for the city.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so do we have any other, actually, we
Yeah.
have a resolution to,
I'll second.
Okay, and then, so you have a motion and a second on your side, you should also have a motion and a second on our side.
Okay.
Mr. Lucas will motion, and Ms. Ayash will second.
and then discussion.
Oh, okay, yeah, I just have a question. So when we talk about, for example, Hamtramck and Gallagher, are we talking about just 2 lines or 2 ways or both or
We
4?
would do it all.
So it's gonna be a,
The whole cross.
that was interesting.
I do want to say that I know Mandy got some input before the meeting as well as I did about the Pulaski Park area.
Mhm.
And my sister said it took her 10 minutes to cross the street and get her walk from Pulaski Park. the
With
other
their
way.
kids the other
So
day.
I'm glad that we're addressing that because that has become quite the intersection of traffic, so.
And increased speeding and just drag racing.
That's
all of
more,
these.
it's not crosswalk.
Yeah,
Right, but still, I mean, it's something
to bring visibility to.
You're the chief and the city manager, you're right on top of that.
Like, I can say this, at our meetings, we talked about phase 1, this being phase 1, and phase 2, and more phases, including other
I'm hoping this
problem
leads to
areas.
more implementation throughout the city and other areas as well.
Well, effectively, Hamtramck, 2 square miles is the entire city is a school safety, is a school zone. You can make an argument for that, or pedestrian, it's a pedestrian community, small enough to, you know, you can do all, and you can do,
And even
tackle
areas
these
like
problems.
Veterans Park should be considered as well, because there are a lot of kids and pedestrians that cross over there and use that space.
Yeah, I think we're gonna talk, I need a grass park to just.
Yeah, maybe phase 2, once we implement phase 1, we can look at other areas. Once phase 1 is implemented, we can see what the reaction or response is, and then move on to implementation of phase 2 that would include other high traffic areas. I agree.
We have any other
So-
discussion?
Anyone else? Evan, any discussion, question, or anything in regard to the crosswalks?
No questions, just excited to move the project forward.
Awesome.
All right. Then we have a motion, City Council has a motion to approve the pilot project for community safety and improved walkability. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes.
Okay, the Board of Education also has a motion and a second for the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
All right.
Congratulations on a great decision.
Walter, thank you for your
Persistence.
persistence.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you ever thought we weren't listening.
You have my thanks, thank you.
We read the paper.
You know, I mean, I
Thank
think-
you for reading the paper. And this is the action team right here, so I appreciate you.
I mean, this whole, you know, this piece of the project, the whole project overall, just really points to the value of relationship building and cooperation.
Partnerships work.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking of cooperation and working together, the city council has a special recognition that we would like to present to to our retiring Board of Education Superintendent, Mr. Nichai. This is a certificate of recognition in honor of Superintendent Thomas Nichai. The City of Hamtramck joins us in honoring Tom Nichai and his 42 years of dedicated service to Hamtramck Public Schools. Mr. Nichai's journey began as a teacher in 1977, and his work ethic and enthusiasm for education fueled his rise through the ranks. From assistant principal to principal, and eventually superintendent in 2007, there has been no shortage of challenges, and Tom Nichai took them all head on. As school districts around us struggle, Hamtramck schools thrive, and we have the vision and industry of Thomas Nichai to thank for that. Our Hamtramck public schools will be hard pressed to replace your distinguished service, valuable experience, and professionalism. We all join together in thanking you for your service and wishing you all the best in a well-deserved retirement.
The board has made a great decision, and Hamtramck Public Schools is in great hands with Mrs. Ahmed. So rest assured, things will continue and even get better. They really will. Thank you. And it is part of
Next on the agenda is next steps, and this is an opportunity for the public comment section, if you will, and then any other comments from other board members, city council members as to what you're going to be doing. Frankly, this is a major first step, 2 months of work on a very significant issue. Again, you coined it well. A city that wants to be known as walkability has to have things that are first of its kind, and as was identified, I believe, I can't recall where I've seen a school district, a statewide document that wasn't educational or organization generated. That's significant. This is another significant on your march to improving things in spite of all the potential setbacks or turnarounds. You're not looking at that as doom and gloom and last one out, turn the lights off. Quite the opposite. We're taking this as an opportunity to learn and be better together as a team. And that's what you're doing. So, comments from folks who wanted to speak now as opposed to one.
In the same vein, right, the next steps. I'm Jan Hujic. I am a member of Hamtramck and also a teacher in Hamtramck Public Schools. I teach elementary students, and I teach all subjects. And one of the subjects I teach is social studies. So Kathy will attest that I've asked, and August will remember, that I do a social studies walkable lesson, and it is called World Religions. And only in Hamtramck can you teach world religions by walking through the streets of Hamtramck. We don't go inside the buildings, but we do study the structure of the buildings, the symbolism of the structures, maybe what is written on the marquees, and we walk away appreciating each other's religions a little more and a little more understanding of one another. And I chose not to take my students this year for the very reason of it got to be quite difficult in the streets of Hamtramck because the cars were going very fast. And I didn't feel with a class of 30 that I could be with them as safe as I wanted to be with them. So I thank you for that. I also walk to work. I'm one of the few people that walks to work. I walk with my students. And Dickinson West and KMS is off McKay, and I understand that Gallagher is the first choice if you're going to have a first step. But I would like to see McKay as a second step because we do walk, and I've had to get in the middle of the street and shout at people with my teacher voice because they were not being safe around my babies. I thank you for passing the resolution, and I'm thanking you in advance for considering the second step.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from citizens or?
And just as a reminder, exactly who Dr. Mazursky is. When the announcement came about General Motors, when the announcement came, about the Dickerson Detention Center, my gosh, what's going to happen? And it's turn out the lights and talk with Dr. Lynn, quite often. And, it's, pick your head up, this can be done. 20 years in Northville superintendent, amazing state superintendent of the year 3 times, and he built Northville from fields to the top-rated school district in Wayne County, and he's a Hamtramck guy himself. So what I'm saying is, the crosswalks are exciting and important, and of course safety. But the vision is nothing's going to stop Hamtramck from attracting new business, having things happen to this vacant land, and build. And if you follow his advice and work with Kathy and everybody else, it really can happen. We're not going to. I attended the meeting here in the public library about GM is we had that thing. I mean, that's of course one way of looking at it. The other way of working at it is to, we are here, we are going to stay here, we're going to grow better, and we are going to have partnerships. And no one else knows us better than Dr. Mazursky. So I just wanted to make sure that the city council knew, for this guy to sit here and mispronounce Kathy's name. That's it. He is the best.
Any other comments?
So what are the next steps? What's the next thing for us to do as boards together?
Well, my recommendation would be that there's an ongoing conjoint effort in this direction. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there's at least a list of 24 items, whether they can materialize or not for a variety of reasons, will be looked at. But continuing the efforts, and again, I can tell you from experience, one thing over time, years of time, led to another. To give you an example, as a school district, we lost funding because we lost students at one point in time, and the idea of closing schools was rapidly in front of us. But we didn't have, therefore, the funds to have a liaison officer at the high school or middle school. The township came in and wrote a federal grant and got it. We couldn't, and they did and put that person there. We would not have had that had that not happened. Another example is they ran out of salt during the winter months. We had a bin full. We shared that back with them, and that's how that cooperation built. Trash shared pickup, same snow removal vehicles between all the facilities, and all of a sudden it just grew. It wasn't intentional, it wasn't outlined in the schedule, it just became self-evident because the relationship, as was mentioned by both Kathy and Tom, the partnership was there, it was real. What we couldn't do, and we knew why. What we could do was really the spirit of hope that we were going to do it. And unless we were found to be wrong, illegal, or otherwise, we were going to pursue it and do it. And the citizens enjoyed it, and I don't think anyone has ever looked back.
So with the next process being fine tuning what it is that's going to be bid out, and who will be doing that?
We'll work on this piece of it. For this particular project, the city will take this by the reins and work on it.
For the crosswalk.
For the crosswalks.
Correct. But when it comes to the parks.
For the items that are on the grant.
The recreation district.
The recreation district, everyone will be involved in that, and that's going to be led by the consultants now. So they're going to start, we'll be reaching out, we'll be the contact points, and then reach out to both school board and we'll be working with the new superintendent, of course. And Mr. Nichai sits on the Friends board, so I know that we'll see him still involved in this through that role. And but you'll be reached out for your voice and for your constituents' voice as that goes forward. Because it'll be community stakeholders, it'll be community engagement, there'll be a whole process that happens over the next several months.
So does the bidding process for the city work the same way it works for like the school district, where you have to put out a bid?
For the crosswalks?
Yes.
Yes.
Or you guys go with the lowest, you know?
Yes, and there are not a lot of companies that do this kind of work. We have a current company that we just bid out, we only got one bid on painting of intersections. So we're gonna put it out again for this type,
Yeah.
and my guess is gonna be that we might get one bid.
But we don't necessarily go with the lowest bid, we go with the best.
Quality,
Yeah.
sometimes we have to look at the quality of the bid and what it is as well, like you do. But we'll continue to work with the school district and bring, have another joint meeting in the future when there's cause to have.
If there's nothing else,
I just want to say thank you all for coming. I know myself had a small conversation with Major. Evan, are you still there?
Yeah, he's there.
Can you hear us? Yeah, so I was just sharing that, we had a small conversation pertaining to what we all can do together, whether it's cutting grass or, any other services that we render to the community. So I think going forward, as joint effort, we're going to look at a little bit more in depth on things that we can actually do together, as the doctor says, without having any kind of violation or whatnot. But I think if we can do something to better our community, why not? Why would something like that not happen? I think we have already shown to both sides of this table that we are willing to work together to betterment of our community and our people. So I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Maybe we'll have some more information on our agenda to talk about and make some decisions to better our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes, sir.
so if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll make that motion.
No objections?
So. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7:17 p.m.
This is great.
Thank you.